About 6 years ago, Sean Quinn asked me to chair up a forum of business people in the tourism industry to look at business tourism, because we felt that business tourism was not being looked at properly. And we took together a very interesting group of people. We worked very hard. We've had 4 or 5 meetings a year since. We've met the industry on a number of occasions. This is our second open day for the industry itself. And today we're hoping that people will give us their thoughts and their thinking going forward and what they want out of the business tourism going forward for the next number of years. The people that are involved are from all walks of the tourism life in this country who actually sell or benefit from business tourism. And I'm delighted because we have a variation of people who come with different angles, different minds, different set pieces, and they have brought their own experiences to it.
What we hope to have across any of our groups, our industry groups, would be a representation across the likes of the IHF would be represented. John Power sits on the forum. We have also destination management companies, DMCs. We have professional conference organisers, so that group would be the AIPCO. We have a representation on that.
And also the university sector, which would have been represented by a group called MUSA, which is a representative body for the universities. They came together underneath the umbrella of the Business Tourism Forum. They all have an interest within the business tourism sector.
We want, I suppose, a representation across incentive business, corporate meeting business and conference business. So we would have that across. We also have our Tourism Ireland colleague, Simon Gregory, he sits on the forum as well. So really anyone we work with, we ensure that they're part of our working groups and forums.
It was all over the place. People felt there was a market for it, but it was not being properly sold, properly looked after, no brand, etc., etc., etc. And I thought that Sean's plan was very good to get the industry working with his colleagues in Fáilte Ireland to make sure that we had a very distinct product to sell.
Internationally, business tourism was started to be regarded as an important sector in its own, away from leisure tourism. Especially in Europe. It had been that way for some time in the US and probably worldwide, but in the European context, especially in the UK and Ireland at that time, in relation to leisure tourism and still is very much fixed to some of the strategies that we see in the UK. But the trade had come together with Fáilte Ireland and identified that, look, we have a very important sector here. Some research at the time was saying that the return, the value that we get from each business tourism visitor versus a leisure tourism visitor is about 3 times what we get from a leisure tourism visitor, so about €1,500 versus about €500.
Really what we wanted to do is we found through research we carried out in relation to Fáilte Ireland research and also Tourism Ireland carried out research last year, and it kind of showed us shortcomings in relation to the perception of Ireland as a business tourism destination. They do, and when I say they I mean the buyer, they do consider Ireland, yes, it's a place we could do business, but they're actually not purchasing Ireland. So that's a real, I suppose, challenge for ourselves.
Well, from all of the research that has been done about Ireland recently, there are some key messages we've got to get out to the association conference buyers. One being professionalism. Are we up for the business? Can we deliver? Very strong message has to go out about that. Do we have access? Yes, we do. Do we have capacity? Yes, we do. So basically changing our marketing messages to the association conference people, certainly identifying what they want to see and what they want to hear, and indeed bringing more of them to Ireland as well to experience firsthand what we have here. So yes, we are changing the message. We are going out to the association conference buyers, but we're still not forgetting about our core business of corporates and incentive as well.
In 2005, the sector would have been worth around 300 million. It's now worth approximately 600 million, so it's doubled over that time period. Much larger growth than we would have seen in leisure tourism. So it's gone, whether it won't hit the 1 billion, but still a substantial sector. And because of the value of the sector for each individual delegate that we get, it's an important sector. The Business Tourism Forum, I suppose, looks at the strategy. So they're looking at what are the international factors, how are they affecting Ireland, and how should Ireland position itself to best overcome the challenges that we have and best take advantage of the opportunities that are there. The working group, which we used to have 2 but we now have 1, really deal with the tactics. They get down and dirty, they roll up their sleeves. Some might say they do the hard job, the hard, heavy lifting. But they really get into, well, we've been given, or it's been identified at a strategic level that we need to do something. We need to do something in the destination management conference area. And as a result of that, that committee with Fáilte Ireland will work through that issue, look at how to solve that issue, and then present a recommendation back up to the Business Tourism Forum. And that Business Tourism Forum will review the recommendation, and then that recommendation will usually get implemented through Fáilte Ireland in terms of being incorporated into the strategy.
Our initial conversation with the Board of Business Tourism, chaired obviously by Peter here, he gave us a challenge of the disconnect that existed between obviously the state partners in the industry and also between the industry partners in Fáilte Ireland and Tourism Ireland. And what John and I had to do is we had to get that disconnect, gel it together, get everybody working together, get a one focus from all of us, so we all knew what everybody had to do, and the accountability had to be realised. So what happened was we had two working groups, one concentrated on the incentive market and one concentrated on the association market. John and I took obviously one of each. But it was not only, we were only in there a very, very short time, and we had to know that we had to expand our brief to go back to the very, very basics about operational structures, the flows, accountability, everything like that. So what we did initially was everybody had to understand each industry's partners, what they do and what their requirements were. We had to realise everybody's actual role within business tourism and the standard that they had to achieve to make it a win. We had to develop a team, a charter that we were going to operate on, how we were going to work together as a group under the flag of Team Ireland. We had to analyse, restructure all the processes, strategies and policies that are associated with business tourism. And what do I mean about that? We had to go right back down to say, well, who was doing the research? Who was doing research? How they were doing the research? Who and how did they manage those leads? Who developed them into a hot lead? How those hot leads were handled from the very beginning right through to the bid stage, to right after the bid stage, right up to the day that they arrive at the Ireland of Ireland, and then from there how they were dealt with by transport, hotels, conference venues, anything to do with the experience of the delegate, right through to after they had departed, to get the feedback. And it was very, very important for not just industry partners to find out their expectations and how we did, but also for the state bodies, Tourism Ireland and Fáilte Ireland, and how they performed and how we performed for them as a team. So what are we doing now? And just to bring you up to date, we're very involved in a lot of things, and sometimes we're told that we get too involved in it, but we're very passionate about what we do, and I think the working groups is very responsible to ensure that your voice is heard and that everybody is singing off the same tune. So we do see the marketing plans and the budgets for the country prior to board signature, and we can discuss them, we can change them, we can offer changes, and generally they're always taken constructively. We discuss and agree new brand marketing ideas. We discuss and agree new operational issues that can improve the conversion factor. We also look at different criteria that we need to make sure that whoever's dealing with business, that the complete chain of events is handled professionally and correctly. So we have certain criteria set so that everybody knows what they have to do, how they have to do it, and what they are accountable for. Because again, business is so hard to get, we want to make sure that everybody knows their responsibility in this chain of events of getting business to Ireland.